Hey everybody, welcome back to the Career Center's coaching series. And today I want to talk a little bit to you about that of networking. Well, I know we've talked about networking in prior videos, but now I want to talk more about the actual application of networking, actually putting it into practice and what that looks like. So what I want to begin with is that of sharing my screen so that we can view the presentation. All right, so understanding that there is power in networking and what that power looks like, it all lies with you. So the objectives for today's conversation is that I want to start with defining networking, then just briefly talking about, not going back through with much, I don't want to go back through as much in depth with it, because I know, again, we have prior videos that our executive director recorded that about my mentor, and then Mr. Lee Smith recorded that about LinkedIn, and then also that of Handshake. So don't want to take anything away from those videos. Please make sure that you check those out as well. And I'll just briefly mention how you can go about using that, reminding you to use those in your networking process. And then we're going to sync it all together by talking about networking and drawing upon informational interviews as a process, as a method of networking. So just to briefly recap, right? What exactly is networking again, or just this quick reminder? Well, remember that networking is you being able to use your professional and personal contacts to advance your career. You know, networking is all about you being able to build a strong network of people to provide exposure and gain advice and gain some information about a particular field, about a particular industry, a particular organization, to help improve your chances of successfully finding and keeping professional opportunities of your choice. Remembering also that when you're engaged in networking, that it is so important for you to remember that you're setting yourself up for success because you're making meaningful connections. You know, a lot of times when people are engaging in the process of networking, or they're trying to figure out how to engage in the process of networking, they often ask, like, okay, so how do I build a network? What does that network look like? And I usually begin with the simple statement of saying, look around. Look around at your family, look around at your friends, look around at fellow students, look around at fellow alumni and alumni of Wofford. Those are all connections that you can draw upon to help develop and further build a network. And of course, don't forget about us here in Career Services, here at the Career Center. Reach out to us because we too may have some contacts that of an alum or somebody that we may know who may already be employed in a field that you're interested in. You know, that's another way for you to build a network. Not only are you networking and communicating with us and expressing your interests regarding your career, I mean, you're also building that network with those whom we know. So this is how, once you start in that process of networking, it's almost like a ripple effect, right? It can just continue to expand and continue to grow. That's what I want for each one of you. That's what we want here in the Career Center, for you to start that network, grow it, and continue to develop it. And we're going to talk about that developmental piece in a little bit. Remember also that when you're building these networks and when you're developing these networks, and that development is also through you having regular communication with them. That development is also you reaching out to them on a regular basis, right? But when you're developing these networks, those networks can also help point you in the direction of some professional organizations, maybe industry events. Maybe there are some interest groups or social networking sites that are also relevant to your field of choice, to your major, to a particular organization that's within a field that you're truly interested in pursuing. And, you know, I said this earlier, and I don't think I can stress this enough. It is so important for you to stay in touch with your network, Please stay in touch with your network. Please have that set time, that set schedule of where you develop that habit of regularly reaching out to them. That is so important because you want to add depth to your networks. Depth and breadth, right? Those are two things to remember when it comes to keeping that, reaching out for your network, developing your network, and also keeping that network. You got to have that regular communication, and you got to make sure, and we're going to talk about that breadth even more so when I briefly discuss that at informational interviews, but you want to make sure that the dialogue that you have with your network is a dialogue that's both purposeful and also meaningful. So I mentioned this earlier, the My Mentor video that the Career Center has up. I encourage you to go back and check it out. Our executive director, Kurt McPhail, did a great job on discussing the importance of having mentors and how to develop that mentor-mentee relationship via My Mentor, right? And you can reach out and get a mentor from an alum of Wofford or a friend of Wofford. The great thing about having that mentor is you have somebody that you can communicate with on a regular, who's a part of your network that can help you in the career management process. Mr. Lee Smith talked about that of LinkedIn and also that of Handshake. When you look at LinkedIn, I want to go back and watch those videos as well. And I want to remind you that you want to make sure that you connect to the Wofford LinkedIn network as well. Look and see what alums who may have majored in some of the exact same, who may have pursued, the exact same major that you're currently in. Look and see what they're doing. Look at their experiences. Look at the skills that they've been able to build, different organizations, maybe internships. Just being able to see their trajectory of their profession, of their career, can really help inform you regarding areas of opportunities that you can grow in, areas of opportunities that you can learn about as you build your career as well. And then within Handshake, there's also that peer-to-peer messaging that you can draw upon, which is another way for you to expound upon your network. And you can message a fellow peer. It doesn't have to just be from Wofford. It can be a peer from another institution. And maybe that peer landed an internship at an organization within your particular major in your desired field of choice that you're really interested in. You can reach out to that peer and ask him or her about their experiences at that organization. Ask him or her about the skills that they learned from that organization. Ask him or her about the day-to-day activities that they engaged in at that organization. So something else that I would encourage you to think about, right? You've built your network, you've begun to build your network, you've reached out to friends and families, other students, maybe even, I know you've reached out to some alums as well, also the Career Center, just trying to find people that you can talk to. Well, what does this conversation look like? Well, what you're doing is you're beginning to engage in what we like to call in career services a type of informational interview. So yes, we've put you in touch with somebody that you can talk to, but what exactly does this dialogue, what does this talking look like? Well, an informational interview is literally that of a conversation, a dialogue with a contact who can help you learn more about a career, learn more about an industry, or even a specific organization. By engaging in an informational interview, you're literally getting a firsthand account of what it's like being in this profession. And it can really help you begin to determine whether or not this career is a fit for you. So, I talked a little bit about that when you're networking and trying to identify networks and reach out to those networks. Well, you want to reach out to those networks as well when it comes to that of informational interview by actually requesting an interview. You're requesting to have that opportunity for a conversation. And so I would encourage you that when you're reaching out to the contact, whether it's by phone or whether it's by email, you want to make sure that you take the time out to introduce yourself to that person, right? And when you're introducing yourself to that person, make sure that, you tell them, like, of course, your name, but then also your major and your year in school. And also let them know what you're hoping to get out of that meeting. What's your goal from that meeting? What are you hoping to achieve from that meeting? And then while you're also engaged in that meeting, make sure, while you're requesting that meeting, I always encourage folks to think about shooting for at least between 20 to 30 minutes for an informational interview. So now that you've reached out to your network, you've requested to have that informational interview, or that conversation is what I like to also say. Now you got to prepare for it. You want to make sure that you're prepared, right? And that being prepared speaks to that of making sure that you've done the research, not only about the person with whom you're about to have the conversation with, you also want to make sure that you know the organization. You also want to make sure that when you're walking in there, that you already have an idea of some questions that you want to ask. And I want you to make sure that those questions are organized and that you have them on a notepad, so that you can, if there's anything that this person, and I know they are, that the interviewer is sharing with whom you're interviewing with, you want to make sure that you're able to write down what I like to call those nuggets of advice, those nuggets of information that's going to help you become that better professional that you know that you want to be. It's also important that when you are conducting this informational interview, that you want to make sure that you make a great first impression. And I know during the time of that we're living in right now with COVID, you can even conduct an informational interview as well via Zoom. I should have said that earlier, but I don't want this to stop you from that opportunity of being able to engage in an informational interview. And even if it's via Zoom or whatever particular platform that you use for the informational interview, you still want to make sure that you make a great first impression, right? Make sure that you show respect. Show that professionalism, still be dressed appropriately. You want to make sure that you're on time. And then, remember that you've asked for that 20 to 30 minutes. So make sure that you are mindful of the time that you've requested and have allotted for this. So the be informed and be thorough part, right? What does that look like? Well, you want to make sure that you, of course, ask some great questions. Things such as like, what do you like most about the job? What do you like least about the job? Can you share with me your career path? Do you know others in the field with whom I should meet? What advice would he or she give you as a young professional starting off in this field, or as somebody who's interested in this field? What qualifications would you say are most important for somebody to have in this field? I always like to ask the question as well, what are some strengths or areas of opportunities that you see present in the field as well, right? What's great about it? And then also, what are some areas that you can see, maybe some areas of concern or areas that I should be mindful of as far as areas to possibly grow? Ask him or her if there's anything that they're reading. I like to ask just both for entertainment, like what are you reading for leisure, as well as what are you maybe reading that's specific to the industry, specific to the field. What advice, of course, would they give you for, as far as to help with your trajectory within that particular career, particular field. So in short, what you want to make sure that you do via that informational interviews, it allows you to not only build your network, it also allows you to learn more about your field, learn more about the major, learn more about an area that you're interested in pursuing. And then also, it can open you up to possible connections with other individuals in the field, within the industry, whom you didn't think you would be able to connect to or connect with. And just a quick reminder, remember that the Career Center is here for you, right? You can still always get in touch with us via email, Career Center at wofford.edu. You know, you can call us, as well as be sure that you actually check out our website as well. We have a lot of information there, even more information that speaks back to informational interviews and networking and handshake and resume writing and different resources that are also available at your fingertips. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you guys stay healthy, stay safe, and be sure you check out the rest of our videos as well. Take care.